D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So we are going to go through this article because I found it very interesting. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter, which I read the trades like every day. So I saw this article and I thought it was very, very interesting. I don't know how you'll feel about it, but I wanted to talk about it because I find the business side of anything very interesting. You know, I think that excuse me, I think that, you know, when it comes to business, like you got to be savvy and everything, and you've got to be cutthroat or you don't get what you want, you know, and sometimes you don't get what you want, but you get what you negotiate for. And, you know, if you don't, it's show business, not show friends. And this guy, William Crabtree, has learned the hard way, but, you know, he might win. You never know. All right. So what is this? It says Invincible animated series sparks profit suit against Robert Kirkman. Now, if you don't know who Robert Kirkman is, he wrote The Walking Dead, the comic book, and he wrote Invincible. Now, I'll be honest with you. I liked The Walking Dead starting out. I stopped reading it probably around issue 50. That's when they had that big thick book, and they had some problems with that if you know anything about it, but that's neither here nor there. And I thought it started out pretty good, and then it just got kind of like, for me personally, I just kind of got bored with it. So after issue 50, I just dropped it. I was like, you know, I don't really need to read this anymore. And then Invincible was fantastic. I loved Invincible. I thought it was very good. You know, I liked it a lot. I really did. I have all of it. It's in this closet right over here. Anyways, doesn't matter. I have those big like boxes and stuff with all my comics in it. Anyways, but I really loved Invincible and everything. Now, as far as Robert Kirkman goes, before you get mad and see red, calm down. I personally don't like Robert Kirkman. He kind of comes off as like a douche to me. But in saying that, I don't know him. We have this pseudo oh gosh, what's the word for it? Pseudo relation. No, it's not a pseudo relationship. We have me and him. We don't have a relationship. The only relationship we have is I see him on a screen and I make judgments on it, on the way that he acts and says stuff. So, but I think that, but I just personally don't like him. He comes off, I think he's kind of a douche, but at the same time, he could be like the nicest person in the world, and I just don't know who he is. In saying that, I'm kind of on his side on this. So let's go ahead and read this article. Yeah. All right. So it says, title Invincible animated series sparks profit suit against Robert Kirkman. It says William Crabtree, an artist on the comic book series Invincible, alleges Kirkman swindled him out of profits by, duping him into abandoning his copyright. And it'll talk about that in just a second. All right, so moving on, and that's Invincible, you know, compendium number 1. I have that one. Anyways, okay. It says comic book creator Robert Kirkman is being sued by an artist who says he was tricked into abandoning his copyright in Invincible and lost out on profits from the superhero franchise, which is now on an Amazon Studios animated series. The animated series is very good. I suggest you go and watch that as soon as possible. It is very, very good. I cannot wait till season 2. And they did a pretty good job going from page to screen, in my opinion. So I thought it was very good. Anyways, William Crabtree says he co-created Invincible as its colorist for the first 50 issues. And I want to talk about that in just one second after I read this paragraph. And Kirkman in 2005 convinced him to surrender his ownership stake in under the guise of marketing it easier to sell to studios, according to a lawsuit filed Sunday in California federal court. The Invincible series, which includes a voice cast of Stephen Yeun, J.K. Simmons, and Sandra Oh, premiered in March and was renewed in August for 2 more seasons. Now, I just want to say something about colorists. And there's this like whole thing, you know, with like colorists and everything and artists and all that stuff in comic books. When it comes to comic books, in my opinion, from what I understand and everything, I'm not trying to act like an expert. I'm just telling you what I've read and kind of thing. Colorists don't have any like stake in the game. And I just want to say, like, for me personally, I think that black and white comic books are great, but I think that color is important. Coloring is very important. I think that the color is used to tell a story, which I think most people overlook when they're thinking about comic books. And I think that color can help set the mood. And I also think that it can play on emotions and act as a guide, when it comes to comic books. So I think color in a comic book is very important. I'm not trying to take away from the artist who draws those pictures and the comic book and everything, or the writer. But I do think that when it comes to the colorist, I do think that it is very important. And I do think that they kind of set a tone, with their colors. So I don't want to take away from Mr. Crabtree, because I know some people will be just like, oh, well, it's like a coloring book. He just colored it in. I've heard that argument before. And I'm like, that's not true. You're being disrespectful to a craft and everything. Which you can be, you have the right to your opinion. I'm just saying there's more to it than just, coloring in, like a coloring book. Anyway, so fraud and dissent has become a standard business practice for Kirkman and is apparently where his true creative aptitude lies, claims attorney Devin McRae in the complaint, which is embedded below. McRae previously represented artist Tony Moore in the 2012 suit alleging Kirkman tricked him out of his interest in The Walking Dead, which amicably settled on undisclosed terms in less than 2 months. Now, I just want to say real quick, that's very harsh, talking about how Robert Kirkman's is apparently his standard business practice and is apparently where his true creative aptitude lies. I would disagree with that. Listen, I just told you I don't like Robert Kirkman just because he comes off as a douche to me, but he's talented. Like, that's the thing. I think his writing is solid. So, I would say that that's a little harsh, but I get where he's coming from. He's trying to defend his client, but Robert Kirkman is a good writer. So I would say that his creative aptitude lies in other things besides standard fraud and dissent as standard business practices. So I just give him a little bit more credit than that, I think. So anyway, so it says Crabtree says he and Kirkman had an oral agreement that granted him 20% of single sale proceeds of Invincible and 10% of any revenue generated from other film or television commercial exploitation of the work, together with any derivative projects based on the work and any allied or ancillary rights to the work. That is very specific for an oral agreement. I just want to say that. And plus, I just have to say, Mr. Crabtree, you're stupid. Who has an oral agreement these days? Listen, I don't want to sit here and act like I know anything about copyright or business stuff or anything like that. But one thing I do know is you get it down in writing. Always. An oral agreement, you got to prove that now. And I'm like, if this was a jury situation, I was on that jury, I'd be like, no, they did not. You got to, do you have videotape of this oral agreement? Because I don't believe you, Mr. Crabtree. I'm sorry. If you don't have proof, I can't believe you. I'm sorry. You may be a nice guy and everything, and maybe this did happen, but there's no proof. There's no proof. Okay. So I'm sorry. Like I said, this is very 20% of single sale proceeds. Okay. For the floppies, I'm assuming it's for the floppies and everything. Maybe, maybe it's the floppies and maybe the trades. I'm not quite sure, like that compendium they showed at the top of the article. And then it says, 10% of any revenue generated from other film and television commercial exploitation of the work. Let me ask you this. When you were writing this comic book, did you go, oh, hey, it's going to be an animated series on Amazon? No. I mean, granted, when you do, I'm assuming, again, I don't know any of this stuff because I don't know anything about business, but I'm just assuming that when you write a comic book, you do write down, you have a contract and everything. And I'm sure Kirkman had a contract with whoever the artist was on his comic books. I don't know who it was. Please don't ask. And I don't remember them putting it in this article, but I'm just saying, like, other than that, I just go like, why didn't they write this down? Right. I mean, if you think I'm wrong and an oral agreement is good enough, please comment down below, because I don't think it's good enough. An oral agreement. I got a bridge I want to sell you through an oral agreement. Anyways, but when it came to memorializing the deal, am I memorializing? I'm not saying that right. The deal in writing, Crabtree alleges that a scheme by Kirkman and his agents to fraudulently induce him to assign his copyright interest over to Kirkman's company. He says Kirkman approached him at the 2005 San Diego Comic-Con and presented him with a certificate of authorship, which purported to characterize all of his contributions as a work for hire. He said that he was in the final stages of licensing Invincible for television production, and that having it represented by a single creator would increase its commercial viability. And that may be true. Again, I don't know anything about that whole situation and viability of a licensing for a comic book. I don't know anything about that stuff. So he might, if that did happen, he might have been right. Kirkman might have been right if he said that. And like I said, I just don't know. I just don't know anything about that. Kirkman falsely told Crabtree that Crabtree's rights and financial interest in the work would remain unchanged if he signed the certificate of authorship, and that the document would simply allow Kirkman to market the licensure of the work more easily, resulting in greater profits for both of them, the lawsuit reads. And that may be true also. I honestly, I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. After the document was signed, the suit says Kirkman continued to pay Crabtree for comic book sales and in connection with licensure, I'm not saying that right, of the series by MTV for a television-based motion comic and by Paramount Pictures for a television and film option. Hold on, I just need a little, sorry, coffee's probably not the best thing to lubricate my throat, but whatever. But when Crabtree learned in 2020 that Amazon Studios was proceeding on a plan to launch a show, Kirkman informed him that he was not entitled to any monetary proceeds because he had no ownership interest in the series. When Crabtree questioned Kirkman about why Kirkman continued to pay Crabtree royalties on the work for years after the certificate of authorship, Kirkman stated that those royalty payments were actually just bonuses that he paid at his discretion. McRae writes, Crabtree says he's been denied access to profit statements in connection to the series, according to the complaint, which alleges fraud and breach of contract, among other claims. It seeks a judgment that Crabtree is a joint author in Invincible and accounting of what he's owed and punitive damages. Representatives for Kirkman have not yet responded to requests for comment. And then you can see right here, this is the whole thing. It's only 16 pages long if you want to read it. I didn't read the whole thing. I only got to page 9 and I was like, I've had enough of this. It's a lot of jargon and a lot of stuff. The person that wrote this article, hold on, I want to give him credit because he wrote this article. Very good article. Winston Cho, he broke it down very good, but I just want to talk about this last part real quick before I let you guys go. First off, okay, so it says right here, Crabtree, okay, when Crabtree questioned Kirkman about why Kirkman continued to pay Crabtree royalties for the work for years after the certificate of authorship, Kirkman stated that those royalty payments were actually bonuses that he paid at his discretion. Now, I just want to say right now, if Mr. Crabtree is lying and there was no oral agreement and everything, because again, it was an oral, it's so dumb. I don't understand why. Always get it done right. Always. But if he's lying and Robert Kirkman was paying him, even though he didn't owe him a thing because they didn't have it in writing, then that, for me, I just go, that's very generous of him. But if there was an oral agreement and Kirkman was paying him, then those weren't bonuses. He was paying him what he owed him, kind of thing. And then as far as Crabtree being like, I was denied access to profit statements in connection to the series, I just want to say, again, if Mr. Crabtree is lying and there was no oral agreement, then he would, of course, he would be denied access to those because he doesn't have the rights to those. Kirkman is not going to make a statement. If he does, I would say that's a bad idea. Always keep your mouth shut when it comes to this stuff, because just let it be handled out in court in my opinion. That's the place to do it. In the public is not the place to do it. I just think that and after reading this, I do want to go back because he said that this lawyer, he represented an artist named Tony Moore in 2012 that suit alleging Kirkman tricked him out of the interest in The Walking Dead. And then they settled. It looked like they settled on undisclosed terms in less than 2 months. So if they settled, I wonder if, because this is the thing, when it comes to settling, either you settled because you know you're wrong and you lied and you don't want it to go to court where you could possibly lose out on more money, or you didn't lie and you don't want it to go through the painstaking motions of going to court and dealing with that, and then having possibly a judge or a jury of your peers siding against you, even though you're telling the truth. So it's very like, this is very crazy. But I just want to say again, always get something down in writing. Always. Like I said, I don't consider myself like the smartest. I mean, I was a decent student, but I just want to say, like, if anybody came to me with something or there was something in the works or whatever, I would just get it written down. I'd be like, no, you need to sign this, write down, what I owe you, what you owe me, all that stuff. We're going to write it down. And then you just put it in an envelope and then you mail it to yourself. That's what you do. I mean, I've done that before with stuff. With contracts and stuff like that, you just mail it to your stuff, and that's like not a copyright, but it's like, it's better than nothing because copyrights cost a lot of money, dude. Yeah, I just want to say also with copyrights, from what I understand from copyrights, if let's just pretend this William Crabtree guy did give up, I mean, he would be on the copyright if he had any rights to, I don't know. This seems like a closed case to me that this William Crabtree guy, if he's telling the truth, I feel bad for him. If he's not telling the truth, then I mean, he's the douche in this situation. But at the same time, it was an oral agreement, which is so dumb. All right, you guys, that's all I got for you. I just thought this was a very interesting article and I was completely fascinated by it. So I was just like, you know what? I want to read this article, you guys. I want to share it with you and I want to give you my thoughts on it and everything. But tell me, what do you guys think about this? How do you feel about this? Do you think Mr. Crabtree is in the right here and Robert Kirkman owes him money? Do you think that William Crabtree is dumb for not getting stuff down in writing and that's his own fault and Robert Kirkman doesn't owe him a thing? Or do you think this is going to settle out of court like the other incident with that guy in 2012? Or do you think that he'll take it to court and be like, no, I'm not giving this guy a penny. He's a liar. Yeah, tell me what you guys think about this. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys on my next video. You guys have a good day. Bye.